They bleed this gym. We have some dogs on our team.
You started out, you guys were doing about 25,000 in revenue. You've pretty much 3x that to 71K. Of course, way better than a paid ad from Facebook.
We try to keep them as high as we can.
Most people do not have the time to make 100 calls in a day with the system in which they're dialing.
Originally needed something to keep our sales guy going. We want it to be huge in Reno, maybe even bigger someday.
You are what you put into your brain.
He hit on the freaking head.
And I think that's a big part of why you're successful. In this episode, I chat with JB, the GM at Elite Boxing and CrossFit out of Reno, Nevada. JB's been the manager there for quite a while under a solid business owner named Oliver, who I've also gotten to know pretty well. And this duo has done excellent together, growing from $36,000 in monthly revenue to $70,000 in just the last 2 years. And JB's the man. You're going to see why. Oliver can leave for vacation and JB's got it. In fact, JB's built such a great team there. Here we're going to see us talk about how JB took a vacation and his company grew in his absence. And we'll also dive into his creative marketing strategies that use in-house competition with his team and that generates over 300 leads in just 1 month, organically, no ad spend. And we're going to talk about the importance that JB puts on member experience, as well as how they achieve a 65% close rate on their appointments, and how many sales calls his team makes each day, and essentially how they've grown the way they have. JB's an excellent example of how a manager shows up each day. So send this episode to your manager. And if you are the manager and the owner of the gym sent this to you, well, thank them. It means they see a lot in you and they want you to grow. Now, let's learn from JB. All right. So you've grown a lot, which is exciting. And I want to talk about some of the biggest things that you've done in order to grow, because you started out, I think when you took over as manager there, you started out, you guys were doing about 25,000 in revenue. You've pretty much 3x that to 71K. In what time frame? So it looks like it's 3 years. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. So 3 years from the 25 to the 70. Yep.
Okay. So what I want to dive into is, first, the main things that you would say is different between you now and you then. Like, what are some of the big pieces you think you've added that's helped you grow like this?
So just expanded mindset into learning. When I started, I had a very smaller mindset of just coaching. So if I was doing, some research through YouTube or anything, I was driven into coaching, where year 1, year 2, I've had to go into more managing. How do I take care of more members instead of just my class size? And then even how to coach a little bit more. So as I kind of grow my learning, I've been doing more, obviously, podcasts, more self-help books, just a lot of things that I've tried to listen to a lot of older people who have had more success in front of me do, to be able to put me in a position to where I can keep growing or help, the gym out.
So I guess let's start with that really quick before we dive into the specifics in like your sales process and marketing and all that. With the learning, what are some of the like podcasts that you listen to? What are some of the books that you've read that you feel are really, really helpful?
So, big podcasts. I was into Bedros for a while. That guy was amazing for me. Is kind of getting my motivation up. And then Ed Milet.
Bedros Keuilian.
Bedros Keuilian. Ed Milet, also some of those, really helpful success stories. Your GSD show, you have some great info all the time that helps me out as far as some podcasts and, books, From Good to Great. That's one that the owner of our gym, Oliver, got me on, and that's what started it. And then there's a really good one that I just finished. It's Unreasonable Hospitality.
Yep.
Outrageously good book. The One Thing, I think that one I took from you. One of my favorite reads. I read that twice now. Some of the, Super Communicator. That was one that, has helped me get into the difficult conversations in my position. So a lot more of those kind of self-help books that 3 years ago, I didn't even know existed, really.
Yeah, that's great. So Bedros and Ed had been on my podcast, Ed Milet, and then also The One Thing, Gary Keller. I had their president, the guy that runs the program, on the podcast. I love learning from those guys as well. Good to Great. The cool thing is that my favorite part of the book is the first sentence, which is good is the enemy of great. You get that. It totally paints a picture. And Unreasonable Hospitality is one I've recently read, which I definitely recommend. I actually have my entire member-facing team reading that in a book club starting, well, I literally recommended it yesterday.
That's
so
perfect.
They probably haven't even gotten the books in yet, and they're going to be reading that in their book club over the next month. So yeah, that's great. Did you have your team read it as well, or just you?
I need to, just me right now. I actually have the sales guys, he's listening to it on tape, so at least he's doing that part. But yeah, it's one that if your team reads that, it's going to definitely excel the company.
Yeah. And did you say listening to it on tape? How old is this guy?
He's young. We got a sales guy, he's like 30, so he wants to do more of the books on tape rather than reading them.
Wait, on tape. When you say tape, you mean audiobook, right?
Audiobook.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I just wanted to check to make sure this guy didn't have a cassette tape he plugs into his car and he's driving around.
He might. I don't know, but definitely, yeah, audiobook.
See him in his Cadillac Eldorado. Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. So that's great. And it's true, like the learning, and not just because you're learning new things, but also just constantly being around that material. You are whatever you put in. If it's health, you are what you put into your body to eat, right? And for your brain, the way you make decisions, the way you see the world, you are what you put into your brain. So, and I have no doubt, just kind of talking to you over the last few years, that you've been reading this stuff. I mean, I could totally see the evolution in you. I think the thing that triggered us working together or doing this podcast, was what I learned you did about, I think it was just last month, with this challenge that you did, and it was Battle of the Coaches.
Heck yeah.
And it drove in 323 leads. Is that right? Through organic?
Yep. So, I mean, just the challenge alone, a little under that, so a little under 300, but total as a gym, we got 330 total, but it was like 280 or something just from that challenge. So awesome.
Okay, so 323 total leads, 280 came from the challenge, and that was all organic, no ad spend, period, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So I want to dive into that a little bit, and then we're going to dive into your sales process, because I think that's a big part of it, because this challenge doesn't do anything without a really great sales process. So
correct.
What was the challenge all about?
So, I mean, I originally needed something to keep our sales guy going, to keep the team going, because I was planning on going on vacation. So something that, one, kept the coaches interacting with members a lot. This would help with them. And then one, just making sure our sales guy had numbers to call while I wasn't here. So I thought this was an awesome kind of double opportunity, member utilization.
Really quick, I want to interrupt there, because for everybody listening and watching, I want you to catch what JB just said. You see, he could have had a slower month, and then when he came back said, well, it was a slower month, but obviously I went on vacation. He could have said that, and people would have understood. It would have been somewhat justified from the average. But what he said is, okay, I'm going on vacation, and I still need to hit my numbers regardless. So because I'm going on vacation, I've got to create a strategy of some sort to be able to still hit the numbers I need to achieve in order to be successful while I'm gone, right? So I just wanted to interrupt with that, because, JB, that's fantastic. You didn't use it as a reason to have a low month. Use it as a reason to step up and get creative to make sure you still have a productive month even while you're gone. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So with that, let's keep going.
Yeah. So exactly that. Basically, we had coaches. We gave them a few different ways to be able to go get referrals. They could get referrals however they want. Current members out just randomly in the streets, at their other jobs for some of our part-time guys. All these different tools that we have learned from Loud Rumor. Some of them we've learned from other people in Loud Rumor. Some of them we just came up on our own. And we gave them business cards, all these little things to be able to go out. And then we did some role playing with them. Hey, come check our gym out, whatever it may be, to get their member in. And we had one coach that works at a barbershop. First off, coach really believes in the gym. He's been here for almost 10 years. Loves the gym, bleeds the gym. Went over to his barbershop and was just handing these things out left and right. I was like, what a better spot than a barbershop to be able to see a lot of faces in one day. So the outside of the gym, organic kind of lead, he hit on the freaking head. Then we had a little bit of inside gym stuff too with the coach who, again, guy's been with us forever. He's our head boxing coach. and way different approach, but he sees a lot of members inside the gym because how much he's here. He sees how much success some of them are having, and he's taken a few approaches to be able to get some of the leads from inside the gym, and he absolutely blew up. There wasn't a day of the month that went where he didn't at least get 5 guys or 5 leads to come in.
Now we have these things at Loud Room are called power calls, and we actually got to have your coaches come on board and kind of explain, and it was really cool because there was a close race between 2 of them.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And what were their names again?
So Charles and then Jared.
Charles and Jared. Who won? Was it the barber guy that won?
Barber guy won. So Charles won, but not by a lot.
Not by a lot. So we can't even say like, oh, well, that's why, because he had the barbershop. My coaches don't have barbershop. Well, the other guy, how many referrals did he get in a month?
It was 60 to 56. 60 for the
60
winner.
to 56.
Yeah.
So he got 56 referrals right there and then.
Yep.
Which from there, you plug them into your sales process and then you convert them into members. I think a lot of people underestimate the referral game. When you think about it, if you ask any gym owner, when I say any, I'm blanketing it, I know, but I feel like it's so close to everyone that it's almost like we're saying everyone, hey, what is your favorite lead? Like, where does your best leads come from? What do you think everyone's going to say?
Got to say referrals.
Referrals, like of course, way better than a paid ad from Facebook or random walk-in, which those are good too. But a referral, I mean, they usually buy the easiest. They already have trust. They probably already know the pricing. Yep. And they're probably already cool with the price. They just want to do whatever my friend did, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're great. But it's the funny thing is, this is the ironic part, they say my favorite lead source is referrals. When you ask, what's your referral marketing strategy look like? They don't have one. It's all responsive. Like whatever happens, happens. Oh, we get referrals just because people talk about us. Mm-hmm. Well, that sounds great. It sounds awesome for you. But what if you did have something in place? What if you actually intentionally created a referral marketing strategy like you guys do? And now maybe instead of getting 5 to 15 referrals in a month, you get 280, which is a very different game, clearly.
100%.
Awesome. How did you pitch this to your coaches? Like, have you done this before, this exact campaign?
We definitely tried this a year ago. So I did have some practice with this, and we didn't do it well at all. No.
Okay. So for those that are listening, I guess what we could also learn is if it doesn't go well the first time, there might be reasons why, and it could go better the second time. So I guess let's learn about the yin and the yang. Why did it not work the first time, and why do you think it worked the second time?
So the first time we had the idea, and then we just pressed go on the idea, and we had nothing to back the idea, no foundation under the idea. All we just wanted names and numbers, but what we were going to do with those things. So now, what we did with these referrals, we have a little bit more foundation. Our sales process with our telephone guy, his scripts are way, way more clean than the last time we ran this. Our coaches actually being able to give them scripts, give them little tools to be able to go out and kind of get their own referrals, way better than last time. So instead of just having a big idea on paper, we actually put some little pieces into it to make it a little more reasonable. And then the buy-in for the coaches, one, our coaches already buy into the gym. They bleed this gym. They love seeing the growth in the gym just because it's our community. And they also love helping people out, especially new people. But then we also had a little caveat at the end of a $200 cash bonus for our coach who brought in the most at the end of the month.
Got it. So you found a way to create strategy around it. And it sounds like your gym is bumping right now. You got the class just start?
Yeah, but class definitely just started right now.
I hear it, and it sounds like it's having a good time. Okay, so it sounds like you've really embraced sales process and SOPs in general. And for everybody, SOPs is standard operating procedures. You could also call it systems and processes. It's essentially the guides and the documented processes that run the company. But one of the things is your sales process. And so with your sales process, what are some of the things that you think you've made drastic improvements to now compared to 3 years ago when you first took over?
So, I mean, with the sales process, you guys have an awesome, awesome platform laid out. But like most people know, every sale is going to be a little different. So you got to be able to pivot here and there as you go. But how ours is laid out, we start building rapport over the phone call. So a little bit longer time on the phone, getting to know person on the phone. So that way, when they walk in, they already kind of feel like they know someone at the gym.
Yeah.
Then they're coming in the gym. We know what class they're coming to. We know their name. Whoever's at the front desk is, of course, open. Hey, so-and-so, welcome to the gym. Then we kind of have our little rapport again. So now we're building rapport twice with this person. So we get a little bit extra. We have a little bit that's written down if needed. Now we have a little bit more on the top of our head. So now we go and do the little tour, pass off to the coach. And every handoff that we have is, like I said, it's all about community. It's all about the camaraderie. So everything's very genuine. It's almost like building a friendship. Then we have our coaches, like I said a little bit earlier, how much they're built and how much they like the gym and how much they, like seeing their classes built. So they treat every new member so well. Like it's over the top. Obviously our current members too, but over the top for a new member. That way when the coach brings member back to the front, we're ready to do the little sale. Member feels so bought into our community. The workout was just part of the experience.
Yeah.
Is what really sold them.
It's funny, people join a gym because of the results that they're looking to achieve and the way they believe the workouts or the gym runs can help them achieve those results, but they stay because of the community and the way that it makes them feel. This is awesome. If your gym's not growing or it's not growing as fast as you like, there's a reason. And the faster you identify what that reason is, the faster and easier it'll be for you to be able to get to where you want to go. And we've created a tool to help you do just that. It's the Gym Scalability Test. And in this test, in about 5 to 15 minutes, you'll be able to quickly identify what your biggest constraint and opportunity is to be able to take this business where you actually want to go and in the speed in which you want to do it. And the great thing is at the end of the test, when you get your results, you'll also be given a bunch of tools to help you with your specific constraints. So if it's lead generation, it'll be tools just for that. If it's retention, it'll be tools just for that. All free for you as a thank you for being a listener of the GSD Show. So head over to scorecard.loudrumor.com to be able to take your gym scalability test for free and start your path to be able to growing it faster than you've ever seen possible. Thanks so much, and back to the show. All right, JB. So the next thing I want to dive into in your sales process is the expectations and the standards that you guys have, which I've been in hundreds, if not more, fitness studios and gyms over the last 15 years. And I'll tell you, it feels like, I don't know the exact data, but it feels like 90% of them don't have these standards. And I think that's a big part of why you're successful, because the common goal or the common denominator with those that are really successful is those standards live. And it has to do with the metrics. So your sales guy, which right now you have a salesperson, he's 100% dedicated to just making sales. That's his only job. The numbers, we talked about how many calls per day. I think you mentioned he's making about 115 calls per day per rep. But what I want to know is, what are his quotas in regards to calls per day, booked, close, point of sale referrals? Like, what does that look like?
So as far as the quotas and metrics, we definitely change depending on what we need the next month for revenue. Depending on how many sales we get to hit our next revenue mark, we'll work backwards with math to be able to see how many calls we get. Around average, we like about 40 members per month. Sometimes more, sometimes a little less. Usually when we work backwards with our math, that gets us to about 2,400 calls.
Okay. So your gym is making 2,400 sales calls per month.
Yes, correct. Yep. So
awesome.
That's some of the things when we started with our sales guy. If we take out the weekends of the month, give us 20, 23 days, something around those lines. Can you make 2,300 calls this month? 100 calls a day? Let's do it.
Yeah.
So we started, obviously doing a little more role play, how to find numbers easier. We've used your kind of tab method, how you have the tabs up on the top, and we've definitely practiced that.
So guys, what JB's talking about is, because some of you may be listening in and saying like, oh my gosh, I don't think we even have the time to make that many calls. And most people do not have the time to make 100 calls in a day with the system in which they're dialing. But when you actually have a more efficient system of dialing, like you use the tab system, what that means is okay, these are all the people I'm going to call. And you have each contact record opened up in new tabs, let's say like 10 to 20 at a time. So now the way it works, JB, is, it obviously sounds like you're running the play. While the phone's ringing, you already have the next tab, the phone number from that tab copied and pasted, ready to just, as soon as you're done leaving the voicemail, if they don't answer, end call, paste, call, right?
Yep.
Is that kind of what you're doing?
Yeah, that's perfect. You put 20 tabs up there, you get done with all 20, then you take a little break. You got your 20 calls done, onto the little break, and then on to the next 20. So definitely the play that we use. And then as far as quotas keep going, like the original question, after we have our call quota, then it goes into the book, where we also have a book quota. Let's just kind of use the averages again. Usually for about 2,400 calls, we're close to 90 to 100 booked quotas, which then by the math, because of our close percentage, gets us to 40, 50 sales.
Yeah. Well, your show rate and your close rate, right? So of those 95, so the quote is he's got to have 95 appointments booked, which is a solid number. And then from there, knowing what percentage of people typically show, plus the closing rate, which, by the way, that's an awesome set of rates, right? From going from 95 booked to 40 closed, that's pretty dang good. You're probably closing over 50% then, right?
Our close quota is 65%. So
65% your quota? Wow.
Yeah. So you talked about standards. We try to keep them as high as we can.
Hey, quick question. Well, and I know there's another metric in there I want to talk about, which is referrals to point of sale. But before we get to that, question for you: if you're closing at 65%, and I don't know, maybe this is more of an Oliver decision because that obviously everyone's involved. Would it make sense to increase pricing, close at 50%, but sell people at a higher dollar amount, which also introduces higher margins, and also their circle of friends are usually bigger spenders too? Yeah,
the last price increase we did was about a year ago, a little over a year, and we've done one every year. So you're in the right ballpark for sure.
When you do a price increase, a lot of people are afraid to do price increases. It sounds like you do one every year. It sounds like you might be doing another one coming up here soon. What's the response been like on those price increases? Has it been pretty good?
It's been really good. I think last year we lost 5 people out of
how many?
300 plus.
Okay, great. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when you figure, let's say you had 300, you had 295 that paid the higher price. You lost 5 people for it. Run the math. Was it a good decision?
Oh, yeah. Definitely a good decision.
100%. A lot of people are so worried about that 5, they don't realize that the 295 that are voting and saying, yes, here, I'm voting with my money. I will pay the new price because I love you guys. That revenue is incredible, and it allows you to be able to improve the studio, pay your people better, and obviously continue to build a company. The next quota I wanted to talk about, and this you said is a company quota when we talked offline, is the average referrals that you want to generate at the point of sale.
Yep. So for a while, we were trying to stick to the Loud Rumor standard of 5, which we kept not hitting. So as leadership, we need to, make sure we're still seeing green and not red all the time. So we bumped it down to 3. 3, like you just said, is gym wide because our sales guy is not just doing the sales. I'm doing sales up at the front desk. We have another front desk guy, and then even some of our coaches are good at selling. And we've all done the role play with the sales process on how we do our little referral ask at the end. Typically, our ask is always, hey, take this sheet. We all have a different way of asking, but take the sheet, and then I'm going to go get you your shirt size. By the time I get your shirt, have some numbers written down for me. So we have a few different ways. My head boxing coach will do it way different than me, but it's still the same play. And then my front desk guy does it a little different than me, but still the same play. We always do the, hey, let me give you your shirt size. You got any friends or family that willing to come in? And then hope for 3.
And so with the shirt, you're leveraging the law of reciprocity. And so for everyone listening, and the reason that he walks away, this is something that, we teach at Loud Rumor as well, is if you ask somebody for a referral or 3 referrals, which is even more, right? You ask them for 3 referrals or 5 referrals, and you're standing there while they're thinking or going through their phone. It's so awkward to watch someone think. And if you go to talk to break the silence, to alleviate the awkwardness, well, they can't think, which means they're not going to think of anyone. So what happens is they don't think of anybody because it's just so awkward. So when you say, hey, have some names written down, I'm going to go get your gifts, or I'm going to get your welcome package, I'm going to go get your shirt. When you walk away, not only are you about to go get something from them, which introduces a law of reciprocity, meaning they're going to feel like they want to give something in return, but also they feel the safety in silence because you're not there, and they can truly think and go to their phone and put down names. And in your case, sounds like the average sale is putting down 3 names per person that signs up.
Yeah, like I said, that's our quota, and we do the best at hitting it.
Yeah. When you guys think about that math, right? Like if you only signed up 15 people through traditional marketing stuff and you got 3 referrals each, you just got another 45 leads. And at your book and close rate, those 35 leads might have equaled another 8 to 10 sales, which is going to be another 24 leads or so, right? 30 leads. And then that's going to equal another 6 to 9 sales, which is going to, and it just keeps going. So I'm so glad that you guys really took that and ran with it, because that is what I see a lot of the winners do. And I don't know how you cross 60K without it, because it's so hard to beat attrition without that kind of stuff. One of the things that I remember you talking a lot about that works really well in your business, and I think you do it extraordinarily well, is how you communicate with your team. And, you know, you talk a lot about transparency and communication. What does that look like? And like, how does that affect the revenue and the bottom line for the company to you?
Yeah, so the communication is so important. One thing, the owner and I, we have a meeting 3 days a week, going over our numbers, going over what needs to be done, some goals. My sales guy and I have a meeting 3 times a week that involves role play. What do we need to do this week? What did we do well last week? We have the boxing side of the gym, the CrossFit side of the gym. I have a head boxing coach who him and I just meet, and he once a week, and he disperses all the information to the boxing coaches. They have a really, really good community between them. And then I kind of take the CrossFit coaches, and we have our own weekly meeting. And then as far as our big staff meeting, we have one a month that's about an hour long. Try to get everyone on the same page. But within those meetings as well, we do a text weekly announcement, kind of just making sure everyone knows if there's any new products out there, if there's any events coming up, if there's any competitions coming up. At the start of the CrossFit class or at the end of the boxing class, our coaches are all, telling the members what's going on, what's new. So the communication between coaches, staff, members is often, very, very often. And then as far as the transparency with the numbers is, it got to a point where we were asking coaches to sell. We were asking certain people to maybe do some follow-up calls. We started asking these things, and the coaches are just like every other coaches, why are we doing that? Why are we doing that? So that's when the owner and I chatted, and we were like, okay, let's be transparent with what we're doing here at the gym. And if we could, make our staff believe that what we're doing here at the gym is to help outside. Like,
there's money right there.
As far as making them believe in the numbers was because we're helping people. We're helping our families, my family, my head coach's family. We're all here doing this with each other. We're not just getting the owner more money. We're not just in here trying to sell memberships just to sell them just because to sell. What we're creating is we want it to be huge in Reno, maybe even bigger someday. And the staff that we put together when we talk about A, B, C players, it's the C players and even some of the B players, they don't last. We have some dogs on our team, and making sure that, some of the people that aren't quite there yet, just making sure that, they're believing in the bigger cause has really helped. And being transparent has led to that. If we show up and Oliver has a new vehicle, or I go on vacation, or something and the coaches are like, what the heck is going on? Then, that's some red flags. And I think, I don't know for sure, but, and what I think is probably in other companies, that's when trust issues start happening and, things of camaraderie aren't the same. So the transparency in numbers and how to get your staff to believe with you was huge for us.
I love it. Okay. Well, as we wind down, I always like to make sure that the listeners know who the person is on the inside. So we now know what you're doing to grow the gym, which I love. But now I'm going to ask you some quick fire questions. Now let's see who JB is, okay?
Let's do it.
JB, if you were an animal, what animal would you be and why?
I'd be a lion because I've always had the heart of a lion, and I am a go-getter. I like hunting and like being on my own sometimes. Don't need a pack all the time. Yeah.
I love it. All right. You're on your deathbed. You have one meal left. What are you eating?
Delicious ribeye. The best ribeye ever.
Ribeye. Apple or Android? I'm sorry, Apple or Microsoft? Sorry, Apple or Microsoft?
Apple, I guess. Yeah.
Apple?
Yep.
Chess or checkers?
Chess.
And last question. You could have dinner with any three people, dead or alive, and you'd be able to talk to them and just have questions and just be a great conversation. Who are the three people?
Probably Kobe. Yep, Kobe would be a good one. Ooh, that's a good. This is a tough one. Probably I don't know. That's a difficult one. Maybe like one of George Washington, one of the first guys that came to create the land, and I guess what would be another one? Probably another really driven individual, either like a Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
Yep, the drivenness really gets me.
Do you think George Washington would even know what to talk about at the table with Kobe, Jordan, and you?
Not at all, but he definitely knew how to run stuff. He knew how to.
Yeah. They might start listening to him.
Yeah,
you don't know.
He knew how to at least put some processes and things together.
I heard he knew a thing or two.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, JB, man, I just got to tell you, super impressive the way you operate as a GM at that business. You are definitely a stud. The way you've been able to really help grow this company with Oliver, the commitment you have to, standards at the business and making sure like, hey, we're not here to just have fun and get people in shape. We're here to be successful. And that means not only making our members successful, it means making our staff successful, making the brand successful. And I think you are, you're killer, man. I love watching. I love having you in our program. I love getting to know more about you. And I love that more people do this. You're going to get to know more about you. Really quick, if anybody wanted to learn more, from you, or they wanted to follow you, or they wanted to ask you questions, any of the stuff that you're doing, how can anybody get a hold of you?
Simple. My Instagram handle, probably the easiest way. It's at JB Olson, Olson.
Okay, so at JB.Olson, Olson. That's your Instagram handle. And so if they've got a question or two, they can maybe just send you a quick question. You can voice note them back or something like that. But
yeah,
man, JB, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for all the information. And I can't wait to see you again soon. I know we miss you at GSD-Con, but hopefully we see you at the next one.
We'll be there at the next one for sure, and I promise I won't miss it.
I love it. And for everybody watching and listening, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you having me.